At this point, I'm pretty sure they're just going to install a pipeline straight from preschool to prison. You know, for profit's sake. Teach them basic motor skills, see how much money you can make off of them immediately.
In Alabama, frustration is spreading fast. Trump voters who once believed in promises of prosperity are now facing job losses, higher prices, and growing uncertainty. In this video, you'll hear real stories from Alabamians caught in the middle of MAGA's economic meltdown. Listen closely. The truth is hitting home.
If y'all haven't seen the Alabama Solution, you need to go watch it. And somebody tag Trump in this, because Trump, we need some help down here in Alabama, because our people aren't doing a damn thing for our loved ones.
Here's my controversial take. The only reason Alabama is a red state is because we are gerrymandered to hell.
These are anti-Trump billboards that have gone up in Calhoun County, Alabama, Jacksonville, Alabama, calling Trump a wannabe dictator. This billboard's making news. It says, "What's the big secret, fellas?" The photo of Trump with Jeffrey Epstein. This was put up by the group Bright Blue Dot on the side of a busy highway in Alabama, of all places. Big Blue Dot says they had financial support from local Democrats and local Republicans to put that up in Birmingham.
Crazy how Coldplay can catch an affair, but this administration can't even release the names of pedophiles.
We definitely aren't the woke. We are not the woke people. We're not the ones doing the woke agenda, but we are awake. We are awake, definitely. And I'm not switching sides. Nobody I know, nobody I personally know is switching sides and going Democrat. They're just not doing it.
You know, there's something else that needs to be implemented here in this state and ultimately on the federal level. And that's what I like to call the People's Choice Initiative, where just because there are elected officials at your state capitol writing and passing these bills doesn't mean that they should just cut off contact with us. Before any bill is voted into law, we should be able to vote on it as well, whether or not it goes into law. That's what I like to call the People's Choice Initiative.
12% of Madison City citizens voted in the election the other day? Really?
They just announced a plan to cut Medicaid. The state of Alabama is set to lose up to $800 million in federal funds. And if you're not aware, we are right now experiencing a crisis when it comes to our rural hospitals. Over 80% of these hospitals are operating in the red. So if we see these Medicaid cuts go through, then we will potentially see some more hospital closures in our state. Republicans, the Republican Party, they own this. Republican leadership is not being honest with the state of Alabama, and they're not looking out for our best interests.
Democrats still demand action be taken now on tax credits for Obamacare premiums. The top 5 states, which include West Virginia, Wyoming, Alaska, Tennessee, and Mississippi, premiums will more than quadruple. Premiums are also expected to more than triple in other states, including Texas, South Carolina, and Alabama. All 10 are considered to be red states.
Some of these people fail to realize down in Alabama who's broke, down in Louisiana who's broke. I can go through pretty much the entire South and tell you that they're broke, and they relied on a lot of welfare from the government. To be perfectly honest, it is tax dollars from these big blue states like New York. Yeah, they send a lot of money into taxes, and then broke states end up benefiting from it, and now they're about to find out. So we're in the find out phase.
We had ICE raids about 2 months ago, shut down quite a few of our Mexican restaurants. They had a warrant for a guy who was using misused COVID funds. That's all the warrant was for. And then the state of Alabama still sent in ICE and abducted like 40-something people. And you would hear like a lot of the contractors coming in saying, this is bullshit. Those were good people. They were good workers. Who cares if they did something to get here illegally? And he's like, yeah, it's illegal, but they shouldn't be treated the way they have been treated for crossing the border illegally. Like, there is nuance on how people feel Like, I think it's a lot of people who never worked with Hispanic people or immigrants in general and don't really understand why they're here, understand their cases, and see how hard of workers they are, that are all send them back, arrest them, put them in camps, stuff like that.
There aren't even cases of, like, you'll see of people that were pro this stuff until they realize it came for the workers that they work with or have working for them. You're right. Like there was this misnomer of, like, oh, they won't come for the people that I like. And it's like, that's not how this works. That's not how, like, right-wing, authoritarian, deep-seated bigotry happens when it's, like, thrown into, government executive enforcement.
To build 3 new prisons that will transition our facilities from warehousing inmates to rehabilitating people.
The governor's plan calls for replacing 11 major prisons with 3 regional mega prisons.
That's the best you can do in the state of Alabama, and people are dying, people are being killed, and the best you can say is, we got new prisons coming.
Just FYI, Kay Ivey is gone the next time we're in session to vote. Even us red voters, your ass is grass. You're out of there. We don't want you no more. And I know I messed up. I'm one of the people that voted for her, because I voted all red. Nope. This is a desperate cry for us to start paying more attention to our state. Well, me, I have to start paying more attention to my individual state versus the country, because I'm still a supporter of Trump, but Kay Ivey bumped her head. So, next time I'm voting, I'm definitely going to pay more attention, and Kay Ivey's gone.
Okay. I just needed to come and say my piece. If you live in Alabama, I'm just going to go ahead and forewarn you that we about to be the kid with the sign on our back that says, kick me, and be made fun of even more than we have been because of our fabulous governor, Miss K. Mama, grandma, old lady, whatever you want to say. That's what we talking.
Any of y'all fuckers from Alabama? Because Kay Ivey's over here taking away all the good things we have before she finally leaves office. Which one of y'all havers kept voting for her?
But Alabama is not as red as y'all would like to believe. It is the blueprint for corruption, gerrymandering, and extreme voter suppression. A lot of Alabamians that live here would even say that it's a red state. I said the same thing until I moved to what was supposed to be a blue state utopia. And let me tell you, outside of the city in those blue states, the people still vote against their best interests. They still have people that vote Republican in every single state. The main difference is they are not as suppressed as we are. Our voting map has been illegal for the last 5 years. Our voting map got changed after we managed to elect a Democrat, Doug Jones. At one point, they had Birmingham, part of Birmingham, and Mobile in the same district. 4 hours away. Mobile is down on the southern part. Birmingham is not, well, I wouldn't say north or really central, but it's north of Montgomery, kind of in between Montgomery and Huntsville. It's ridiculous to have it in the same district. And in fact, it was so illegal that the Supreme Court, Trump's own judge, came in and said it was the most racist voting map he had ever seen because of the way it kept all black communities in one district, all the Democratic communities, all of our big cities sequestered, and then allowed these rural areas with a much less population to have more voting power than we did in the city.
And universities across this nation so that we can be the tier 1 research university we so deserve to be instead of the playground of a fascist.
You have complete control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. We expect you to reopen the government. We expect you to extend the ACA tax credits. I'm standing here with a few friends who agree with me. And by the way, release the Epstein files.
As much as this state sometimes disappoints me, I love Alabama. And all I want is for this state to live up to its promise and potential and to quit being the stereotype it unfortunately has always been. But unfortunately, we are witnessing what has always held Alabama back now spread across the nation like kudzu. We are witnessing the Alabamification of America. A quarter of children in Alabama live with food insecurity. 15% of Alabama citizens use SNAP and WIC. That's almost 900,000 people. Alabama has a higher poverty rate than the national average. A third of Alabama counties are maternity care deserts. A third of Alabama counties don't have a pediatrician. Over 1 million people in Alabama rely on Medicaid. Almost 40% of babies born in Alabama are born with Medicaid. At least 300,000 people, maybe more, could gain access to health care if the state expanded Medicaid. That would also create and save jobs and ward off the closures of rural hospitals and health care services.
I'm going to start a group called Alabama Forward, and we're going to work on issues to move our state forward, right? I think, in my opinion, we live in the best state in the country, hands down the greatest country. And so education issues, economic development issues, tax issues, military issues, continuing to make sure our state is not woke, that it stays conservative. And so we're going to stay engaged and have some really smart policy people, have some really smart social media people, and we're going to help continuing to shape the narrative in our state to make sure that we're the leading conservative state in the country.
This is a bill that's coming this week to pay only the essential federal workers that have been furloughed. Democrats want to pay all the federal workers, all the furloughed workers. Should all of them be paid right now? Because they're out of work too, and they can't get paid.
Well, it's called a shutdown. I mean, you start paying everybody, that no pressure on anybody. No pressure on anybody. I think we just leave it as it is. I don't care if you shut the government down. I don't care if you shut the government down. Military should be getting paid and law enforcement should be getting paid. Those are the two entities that you need. Everybody else, shut it off. Everybody else, shut it off. I mean, you really start making people hurt when it gets to that point. But, you know, we still get paid up here. I mean, still get paid up here. I mean, makes no sense to me.
I have a number for you. You know, I talked about this. Alabama farmers are suffering. Chinese aren't buying soybeans. You probably know these numbers, but I just found today. Last year, the Chinese purchased $12.6 billion worth of soybeans. You know what the number is this year so far? Zero. They haven't. That's it. Yes, sir. Zero. You're on top of it. I just find that remarkable. Absolutely remarkable.
Yeah, they're buying them from all other places, Larry, but they've kicked our farmers to the curb.
Across Alabama's towns and rural communities, the pressure is mounting. Families who once stood firm in their beliefs are now questioning what went wrong. The promises that once inspired hope have given way to frustration, doubt, and economic pain that can no longer be ignored.
Welcome to Alabama, where you write your governor and she recommends DHR.
From her today. And in this letter, she essentially tells me that DHR is there and I can put my kid up for foster care or adoption, and that since I reached out to her with concerns of financial well-being, that she called DHR on me.
So this mom, Emily Davis, reaches out to our governor to ask for help and assistance, basically saying the middle class doesn't exist anymore. We're struggling. We can't pay rent. We're having trouble with food, etc. And in the letter back from our governor to an Alabama mother, our governor says, Governor Ivey says you can essentially utilize adoption or foster care. Then Governor Ivey says she's given DHR her contact information, meaning Governor Ivey has contacted DHR on behalf of Emily Davis. Then a representative for the governor gaslights this mom, telling her, we were just trying to connect you with resources.
So as a kid that grew up using, our family's food stamps, and as an adult who has also had to turn to programs such as SNAP and WIC within my life, I can tell you this. People can shit on those programs all they want. They can talk all the crap they want. They don't know what they're talking about, for one. But for two, Children are always innocent. They're the only innocent ones left. I don't give a what their parents do, but children need to eat.
Look, I want y'all to understand something about this SNAP benefits getting cut off. Robbery and theft will go up because of this.
We're starting to hear from people who are on Medicaid who are losing access to certain services, be it long-term care, nursing homes, outpatient services, things like that are getting cut. And the GOP has consistently said that people will not be kicked off Medicaid. And that may be true. A lot of people won't be. It doesn't seem as though any Republican voters feel like they will not qualify with the work requirement. But just because you're not losing your Medicaid doesn't mean that you're not going to lose your access to health care. $900 billion has been cut, and states have to make up that difference. There's a lot of different ways they can make up that difference. Kicking people off is one of those ways. Another way is to cut certain services that Medicaid pays for. I live in Alabama, a state that has refused to expand Medicaid, so we were already at a disadvantage, and now we're going to get cut even more. Trust me when I say that Alabama cannot make up that difference.
This is how it went.
You know these tariffs that Donald Trump is putting on these other countries? Well, they're actually a good thing for the American consumer.
And this is how it's going.
You know, I've been hearing all these people complaining about prices not going down since Donald Trump became president. So I thought I'd go make a video at Walmart yesterday to show y'all how prices have come down. Guess what I found? $2.50 for a fucking cookie. I mean, I used to get a whole package of Chip Ahoy cookies for that price. $8.24 for a gallon of bleach. Yeah. Prices ain't went down.
And so it begins. In certain states, nursing homes have already started reaching out to their residents who receive Medicaid, giving them 30 days to find another place basically to get their care provided to them. Why, you ask? Come on, sip a little tea with Auntie. Let's talk about it. The big, beautiful bill. The big, beautiful bill. These companies, these nursing homes are coming to the realization that they're losing money by having these residents in their facility.
DEI and ESG, you know, there's an acronym for everything, isn't there? Diversity, equity, and inclusion is DEI. And basically, just to give you the short version, because when you read about it, you just kind of get more confused. But it's dumbing down everybody to be the same. It's in institutions, it's in the workplace. Nobody can excel anymore. If you excel, you're probably going to be slapped on the wrist. And so we have got to get out of that. We cannot allow these bright kids, and it was all turned around by whites and Asians. They are normally a good bit smarter.
How do you not choke on those lies?
That's kind of what's in the big beautiful bill. I'm trying to tell you, but you're not listening.
We have questions.
Answer our questions. Answer questions.
There's people here that want to hear from their congressman, and it's very hard to speak while you guys are speaking.
Well, it's hard to hear when he lies.
Hard to hear through the bullshit.
Why are people not getting due process? Why are immigrants not getting due process?
So due process for a citizen and a non-citizen are different.
False. Lies. The 5th and 14th Amendments allow for it. The Supreme Court has backed it many times. Shame.
752,000 Alabamians get SNAP benefits. 752,000. That's a lot of people.
So y'all just gonna let kids starve in Alabama? Did I hear that right? Women and children in Alabama may not eat because the state is about to run out of food assistance funding. This is what I don't understand. Government always has money for wars, for tax cuts, for some billionaire's pet project. But when it comes to feeding families, suddenly the wallet kind of just snaps shut. We're talking about women and children and babies. People who actually need food to live. And Alabama is basically saying, good luck, I hope you're not hungry. And it's not just irresponsible, it's cruel. And all of this goes back to Republican Congress, right? Because they're not showing up to do their jobs, so by proxy, women and children are going to suffer and starve.
Alabama, we deserve better. We deserve a statewide healthcare system that is for everybody. I'd like to see a more forward-thinking approach to our education system. We always place almost dead last in education, healthcare, pretty much everything.
So fun fact, the townsfolk of Huntsville, Alabama, they found out that they get to pay a little bit more on their utilities bill because of an executive order that the president signed. So their accounts were debited because they had taken part of, they were recipients of a government grant that helped subsidize or help offset the cost of their utility bills. But now, because of an executive order signed by their boy, President Trump, that assistance is no longer there. Not only that, they owe it back.
Utility bill went from $250 a month to $696.
You voted for Trump. It's very simple. There's no other answer other than you are in a cult and you voted for Donald Trump. That's it. Very simply put.
You can't call yourself pro-life and refuse to expand Medicaid. You can't call yourself pro-life and cut health care. You can't call yourself pro-life and be against feeding children. You call yourself pro-life because you support forcing every baby to be born, yet you are against helping people who are alive. You can't say you're for small government and want the government in all of the uteruses. You can't say you're for small government and support the federal government taking over cities. You can't say you support states' rights and support other states invading states. You can't say you support free speech but want the government to punish people you disagree with for expressing theirs. You can't say you love freedom if you support taking other people's freedoms away. Good people do not look at what is going on and cheer it on. Good people do not cheer on the oppression of others. Good people do not stay silent as others are being oppressed. Good people know the difference between patriotism and nationalism.
The governor of Alabama, Meemaw Ivey, is about to steal $100 million from the Children's Education Fund to pay for her for-profit mega prison. And that is not speculation, pals. She said so herself. Okay, well, in full transparency, I am kind of paraphrasing. See, she still speaks like she's living on a plantation and commutes to work via time machine. So when she was questioned and asked directly if she was going to take $100 million from the education fund to pay for her prison, she looked at the camera and said, well, sure. If that ain't a perfect example of exactly how Republicans care for kids, I don't know what is. They would rather allocate funds to their forced slave labor operations than ensure your child receives a proper education. At this point, I'm pretty sure they're just going to install a pipeline straight from preschool to prison. You know, for profit's sake. Teach them basic motor skills, see how much money you can make off of them immediately. If this shit right here don't make you sick to your stomach, then you need to spend some time doing some serious soul searching because something inside of your heart is screwed up 7 ways from Sunday. Now, the rest of y'all have you a wonderful day, or at least the one you voted for or deserve.
What's unfolding in Alabama is more than an economic story. It's a turning point. Families are struggling. Businesses are closing. And the promises that once fueled hope have turned into hard lessons about leadership and accountability. These voices remind us that behind every political slogan are real people trying to survive. Understanding their stories is the first step toward real change. If this message resonates with you, please like, comment, subscribe, and share to keep these conversations alive. And click the video on your screen to see more of what's really happening across America today.